I should just show up here and keep the channel a bit warm because, for someone who has a new channel, you don't want to be missing in action for too long. I have kept a beautiful momentum ever since I started on the 22 of April. And in as much as I am a bit tired and there is quite a lot happening in my life, work-wise, and a bit of travel that's coming my way, I wanted to take a little bit of a breather, for the last week of September, which I did. And I thought I would be back by now, but I realized that I am a bit busy and I don't want to do teaching that is not well thought out, well planned out. I don't want to drop the standard that you guys are used to, but I also did not want to stay for too long without the channel's activity because, whether we like it or not, these platforms are not ours. They are governed by algorithms that, they evaluate you. The less you post, the more they bump you down, such that it takes a little bit more. It's almost like you're starting from scratch if you come back again, after a while, which is why I was pushing, videos for that fast, that momentum of 2 to 3 videos a week. And I will return to that because I will be teaching. I will only return in the new week, in the next week, after the 8th. And the reason is I'm traveling to East London actually today. I'm recording on the, yeah, I'm recording on the 3rd of October. And I'm traveling to Eastern Cape this evening because I have a beautiful retreat. I mean, a first of its kind in the country, I think, and a first of its kind in the healing and coaching space. And I believe I'm one of the first people to be doing that. And what is that? I will be teaching. I will be doing a teaching and a coaching, sort of group coaching session retreat for deaf women. Yes, deaf women. So I will be teaching and someone will be interpreting on my behalf. And it's just such a powerful and fascinating story. How it happened is that in 2023, I had a client. Her name is Asanda. Amazing, amazing woman. And without telling her story too much, because obviously I don't want to do that. But what I can share is that she was raised by two deaf parents. So her mom and dad were both deaf, which then meant that her, as a speaking child, had to learn both the sign language and this Xhosa and obviously English and Afrikaans. And I'm telling you now, it is an incredibly unique story of understanding language in a way that none of us who are hearing and speaking can actually articulate. There are nuances that we will never ever understand except for someone who has that dual reality of people who speak in sign and people who speak in the language that you and I can hear. And I mean, she has an incredible story, and I've been begging her to write a book. And thankfully, she has started with her manual, her manuscript, and it's just going to be one of those stories that will just transform how you look at language communication and the spoken word and the non-spoken word. I coached her for a year straight. And when I say a year straight, I mean every 2 weeks we would have a session. Obviously, sometimes we'd skip a month because life happens and we get busy and we get sick, but it was a long coaching session, one of those are my favorite. When you come for me for coaching, I prefer that you take minimum 8 sessions. That is the bare minimum. I don't do one session, I don't do two. I used to, when I was trying to accommodate people that, no, you can maybe come for one conversation or two, and see and figure it out. It doesn't work like that. Coaching is and not a quick fix. Coaching requires a lot of commitment, a lot of understanding the depth of where we are going to go, especially life coaching, which is what I do. Because I don't do executive coaching where, it's about you cultivating your leadership qualities so that you are a better boss at work or overcoming procrastination or overcoming stagnation. Those get covered in my life coaching. But mine is holistic in that I'm going to help you regulate your emotional body. I'm going to help you with how you process things mentally. I'm going to help you understand your body and your body language. I'm going to help you manage relationship and communication. I'm going to help you see your blind spots. I'm going to help you see your strengths. And blind spots are not weaknesses. It's shadows. It's something else. There's weaknesses, and then there's blind spots, and then there's strengths, and then there's your light, your gifting and your talent. So my life coaching is very holistic, and coaching Asanda for a year straight, and she was not the only one that I coached for a year straight. It's just that her story is quite unique and quite beautiful. But I learned so much because coaching is also very language based. It's helping you also with vocabulary, with understanding things completely differently, with understanding body language, with understanding how to respond, when to and not to react, and so on. So anyway, I didn't mean to go on a coaching tangent, but I think it was beneficial. And you can see I'm free flowing here. I don't have my notes. I just wanted to show up and just share this and that, and what's happening around me. So yes, I am going to East London to do a healing retreat with women who will not hear me, but through Asanda, because she'll be interpreting my teachings, they will be for the first time getting into spaces that the hearing people, the speaking, hearing people take for granted. I'm also looking forward to understanding their world, to understanding their dynamic, because I think apart from us seeing a sign language interpreter on the news, or on big news in the world, I think that's just, and they give them such a small little piece there, and I think that's as far as we go. We don't think too much about them. We don't even so I feel so privileged and honored that I'm going to experience and witness something of this nature, and at such an intimate level, because healing coaching retreats are very intimate, they're very layered, they're very deep. And for me to be interacting at that level as a first time, because apart from Asanda, I don't think I've ever had or found myself in a space of a place with people who are not speaking with the deaf community. The closest was when my daughter Tsulu was at Wits. Tsulu went to Wits. She did dramatic arts, and another subject she took was sign language. And she did it for a year. And she was like completely transformed in the way she looks at things. I mean, one of the things she says is that deaf people are very direct, and their language is almost like Mandarin in that they don't have too many words or too many, I can't even call them words. For an example, one long sentence that I would give would be interpreted in maybe three signs, and that's just the entire summary, sentence. And they're very expressive. Everything is done also with the face, with the body movement. That's why, and I don't want to make signs here because I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't know sign language. But if you've ever watched a sign language interpreter, you will notice that it's not just hand gestures. There's also facial expression. There's also body movement. There's also all sorts of things. So even small gestures like this would mean something. So I am so looking forward to it. I'm nervous. I'm excited. I don't know how I'm going to be, but I'm just going to welcome the experience, and I will come back and share with you how it went. My teaching day is on the 5th. I'm teaching on Sunday, the half a day. I think I'm teaching half a day. And then the afternoon is something else, the journaling, the solo work. And I mean, I've held retreats in my life I think no, I don't think. I've held 4 retreats in my entire coaching career. And my retreats are long, they're 5 to 7 days long. And I know what to expect in a retreat, in as much as all retreats come out with completely different results. So I am looking forward to this. If it's not visible or if it's not audible, how excited I am, I am, and I just can't wait to collect the experience and share it with you. And I hope it's a first of many, I hope I get integrated into the community and we spread it into other communities of people living with disability. And in as much as deaf people don't consider it a disability, it is another language. But I would like to get into those spaces as well, because we take for granted, Rona, people who are quote unquote normal. We don't take up such opportunities like having a coach. We don't take up retreats. We don't take up workshops. It's like we take a lot for granted while there's a whole community that is starved of the very things that we don't take seriously. So yeah, I wanted to share that. And what else do I want to share? I want to also say to you that I'm going to be teaching strictly, as I said in the last video. Even in the new year, I will continue with teaching, but my best teaching, my most sacred teaching space is with my community on Patreon. And I would like to invite you to just join. A lot of what I will be sharing here is going to almost be a taste, a tip of the iceberg. So far, what I've taught with masculinity and femininity, motherhood, healing, which for me is just the tip of the iceberg. I'm going to deepen, obviously, with you here. But if you really want to get the juice, if you really want to go down the rabbit hole and understand why is it that we need to heal as a people, as Black women, as Black men, go and join my Patreon community. To join is free. There is a lot of free content that I give. There's a lot of beautifully written newsletter articles. My newsletter articles are not just sales, they are also very teachy content. I have a lot of series that I run. I mean, not so long ago, I ran the Dark Night of the Soul series, where how do you know that you are in the Dark Night of the Soul? The stages of the Dark Night of the Soul series. I also did the seven shadows, which are based on the seven deadly sins. I know when we think of the seven deadly sins, we think of Christianity or Bible or some religiosity. No, seven deadly sins are actually what we live through. Just to give you an example, greed is one of the seven deadly sins. And here in South Africa, right now, at this point, at this juncture, we are witnessing what greed can do via the cartel, the criminal cartel that is running the country right now. I mean, if you think of the Madlanga Commission, what General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi exposed is greed. That's why greed is considered a deadly sin. And it is deadly because it does lead to death. It takes you down. Greed takes you down. So in my teaching, I share how you as an individual, as a person, can actually watch your own levels of greed in your own personal life. Anger, wrath is also a deadly sin. If you think of the Gaza right now, if you think of America even right now, I mean, the Gaza is even, I mean, America, the Gaza, and the world, you will notice that anger and wrath is can take you down. I mean, the Gaza, there's just anger going on there and wrath where people are dying. And, for the first time, the world has now declared it a genocide. The UN has declared what is happening in the Gaza a genocide finally. Maybe something will finally happen and the Palestinians can actually live freely. Nobody wants the Israeli to live in shackles and to not be safe, but we also don't want Palestine to live in shackles and not be safe and be oppressed and be starved like they are now. So the seven deadly sins find expression in the larger spaces and global spaces of our lives, but also they find expression in your own life. And that is what I'm teaching. I'm showing you the macro and then I'm also showing you the micro. So that's a series you could consider if you join. What else do I have? I also have universal laws. I have an entire stretch school content, which is so rich. So I would advise that if you like what you've seen so far, you might want to consider joining Patreon and get the teachings there. And I say this, if some of you are on social media, on my Facebook or Instagram, I plan to leave those channels, those platforms for good in the new year. In fact, I'm going to be doing a long goodbye from November. I don't want to return there. I want to focus here on my YouTube channel and to my Patreon and to also see where AI is taking us, and to use some of the tools. One of the things that frustrates me a lot in with social media, especially Facebook, because that's where I live. I mean, I'm a Facebooker. I started my rise, the Lebubule rose on social on Facebook. Instagram, I just use it to push my work, and I've never really warmed up to TikTok. But Facebook is where I have found expression and it feels like a home to me. What frustrates me about Facebook right now, obviously, Mark Zuckerberg are making very bad decisions with algorithms. But I'm noticing that, bums are trending. I don't know if you guys have noticed. You go on Facebook to hopefully bump into a friend's post or someone you follows post or something, or for you to go post, and bam, you are met with a trending bum. You know, people are shaking their bums, quite jive, but it's not even dancing, it's bums. People are just showing off their bums, whether it's BBL or it's the natural ones. You find a reel of bums, a story of bums. Bums are trending. So, so that frustrates me. But another thing that frustrates me is that we are not talking enough about AI. We are not talking enough about AI. I'll give you an example. Around February, I posted confidently, I posted asking people, how do you feel about the speed of AI? Are you nervous about your job? Not necessarily now, this minute, but in a year or two. And my goodness, the comments I got, I was so shocked. I got the most nonchalant comments about how, no, 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 it's not going to affect me. Oh, no, please, my job is safe. Like, no, how will AI interpret my work, blah, blah, blah. I remember feeling so gaslit. I felt like I was crazy. But to be fair, I have been consuming AI news or AI development. I've been following it closely as early as 2019. So I am very advanced in terms of where it is, how far it is, how the speed with which it is moving. Right now, artificial general intelligence is here. With DeepSeek, released in China. That yeah, it's so I got so scared and so weirded out that people still think that AI is Siri or Alexa. Siri and Alexa are great, 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 great parents of AI. And AI is nothing, and the robotics are already catching up. The robotics would then be AI combined with robotics, and then you'll see a literal robot working in your house, cleaning your house, cooking for you. I don't know gore go tlo etsagalang ka rona. But stick around because those are the kind of things I'll be teaching around and trying to get us as humanity to find other ways of existing outside jobs. And the jobs that will go are literally almost 90% of the jobs are going to go. Anything that you do that is repetitive. So if you're an accountant, if you're a financial director, I'm sorry guys, if you're an attorney, you know how I feel about attorneys. Doctors, obviously cashiers, obviously drivers. I mean, there's already non-driving cars. I mean, non-driver cars. I don't know if you guys watch Diary of a CEO podcast. If you don't, please follow him. Follow Stephen. From time to he has another channel where he just shares his everyday life, how he does the show, how he moves. I mean, that guy's energy. He'll be in London at 10, and then that evening he'll be flying to LA and then flying to India. Your people are busy out there. But why did I mention him? Oh, I mentioned him because when he's in LA or wherever he is, whenever he's in a car, he's sitting in the passenger seat, or sometimes he sits in the driver's seat, but he's busy tweeting or working because the car is driving itself. These cars are here. These cars are here. So driving. I remember a while back, one of my friends, Spio Moyo, likes to call me a futurist. A while back, like literally a while back, before 2020. Anything that's before 2020, it's a while back. I wrote a post that went viral, Facebook viral. Because we know that Facebook viral is not really viral, is it? Facebook viral. I remember that post was shared almost 2,000 times back then. I was talking about how I don't think I want to buy a car ever again. And because transport is changing. It was the rise of Uber, Gautrain. I was using Gautrain a lot. And whenever I would be in my car, I would always get someone to drive for me. And my argument was that I have a lot to think about. I want to drive, I get driver. Yo, people. And I remember sometimes when you are kind of ahead, and I don't mean better, I mean ahead. I had my first car at 19. And by the time I turned 40, I had been driving for 21 years. So it makes sense for me to say, "Na ke batla ho driver." My hand is up. And that doesn't mean akuna koloi or ha ke batle koloi entle. I'm saying I don't want to drive. I'm not a driver. I'm not a driver. I've got a lot of things to think about. I don't want to be indicating. I No, I've done enough of that. I mean, that entire Joburg probably knows me. A gona strata, a gona highway, a gona any place in Joburg that I have not driven, including on Deckers. That's huge street, that huge road. Is it still called on Deckers? Because you know, but ANC like to change names of streets. I mean, rightfully so, wrongfully, it doesn't matter actually. But yeah, and so that post, yo, it was a lot of people were offended by the fact that I said, cars don't matter. Yo, and people were like, yeah, what if I remember this comment? I'll never forget this comment. Someone saying, what if you are home and you are sick and you have an emergency with a child getting sick and you need to get into the car? And I remember saying, if there's an emergency, there is someone I will phone and it will be an emergency. Like, what if a child dies? And I remember I mean, those days I was also just so full of myself. And I was like, yeah, well, then it's probably their time to die. But yeah, the self-driving cars are here, self-driving trucks, self-driving trains, self-driving buses, autopilot for real. So no job in a true sense of a job is safe. Even what I'm doing here, I mean, right now, there are YouTube channels that you follow that you think are run by humans, and they're just AI. And the telltale signs are this: you don't see a face, you hear a voice, even if that voice is supposedly someone that you know, like Carl Jung, for an example. Carl Jung died many years ago, but Carl Jung has a channel, and Carl Jung is giving advice. And in Carl Jung's voice, that's AI. And they're going to flood YouTube as the years unfold. Next year is said to be one of the biggest years where we will be competing with robots with AI for views and for subscribers. Speaking of subscribers, please subscribe to my channel. Please ask a friend that you know to just subscribe. I know you have one friend. Ask them to come to YouTube and to subscribe and get me to 200 subscribers. I see we are on 160. Guys, I mean, honestly, what what does a girl have to do on YouTube? Must they do the clickbaity thumbnails? I don't want to do that. I don't want to do clickbaity thumbnails. And I might be shooting myself in the foot, but I don't want to do those. I want people to follow me because they actually enjoy me and they enjoy my content. Is that old school? Is that shooting myself? I don't know. The point is, I am back. I wanted to show up to just share this and that. What else do I want to share? Oh, yeah, I have a retreat coming up. Apart from this one of Eastern Cape for deaf women, I have my own retreat coming up in November. Yeah, details, if you're interested in what it is, I'm sure there is. Yeah, you can see the email to inquire there. To be nice to see you at my own retreat. I will come back next week with some form of a teaching. I actually want to talk about what coaching really is and maybe help you differentiate between therapy, coaching, counseling, mentorship, and going to a sangoma. Shall we do that? Let's do those things. Let's do that. Let's teach on that so that people understand what we mean by, especially life coaching. I will actually break them down for you. I'll tell you what life coaching is, what relationship coaching entails, what executive coaching entails, what mentorship is. Shall we do that for you? Let me do that for you. Yeah, that's what I'll do for you. And for now, this is my story. I cannot wait to hear yours.